Hi, everyone, and welcome to Moonlit Scary Stories. We are your hosts, Cameron and Skylar, and today we are going to be doing an episode together about
Pinky Pinky.
In this podcast, we need to warn you of the possibility of language that may not be appropriate for all ages and to some may be offensive. The content we go over in this episode is recommended for mature audiences and a trigger warning due to the content consisting of blood, murder, and rape.
All right, so I have kind of the description of Pinky Pinky, and Skylar's going to give us some stories. So, to start off with, Pinky Pinky is an urban legend from South Africa. It's supposedly half creature, half human, also
Mm.
known as Tokolshi. Tokoloshi. Did you see that at all?
Some
And
No, not in those stories that I picked because I did not. It was weird because not knowing what I was looking at and then looking at the stories, I just know about the stories that they tell me. So they didn't tell me no history or anything.
okay. So one site said Tokoloshi and the other one said Tikiloshi. So an I instead of an O in that one. Either way.
Okay.
So that is a dwarf-like water sprite, and a water sprite is also known as a spirit or a fairy-like creature that lives by the water. So it's also described as being pink with one claw and one paw, is what I found.
Mm.
This urban legend seems to have started in the 90s. Pinky Pinky supposedly lives in between the girls' and boys' bathroom. The urban legend says that if you wear pink, that it upsets the monster. Although it dwells between the girls' and boys' bathroom, the offenses from the creature is said to be done to the girls and that boys can't see Pinky Pinky. But there
Yeah.
have been claims that boys have been attacked by Pinky Pinky as well. So, what results from an encounter with Pinky Pinky is listed as injuries, murder, and even rape. And that was pretty much all I could find for the background of Pinky Pinky. It's definitely short.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I could see that because my few stories, like one of them, I think is from 3 years ago, and it kind of, kind of, I kind of see the history now behind it now that I know,
Yeah.
but
Well, it
it's
said that it had been, I guess, popular and talked about at one point, and then it died down, and then it started building up again. So I guess the history and stuff on it is limited because it's not as prevalent as it used to be. I'm not sure.
yeah, I could see this where that would happen. Um, so I guess are you ready for my stories that I
I
picked?
am. I
Okay,
am. That was it.
okay. So this was on Reddit and it was posted by BYU forward slash Shandis Shanice underscore purple 31 3 years ago. She is going on to start that this is her first time posting on Reddit and she really needs, I guess, the reader's help. And she starts with a little backstory. She says, "When I was younger, there used to be this urban legend doing the rounds, going around about a scary dude named Pinky Pinky, much, aka Pinky, much like famous Bloody Mary. All you had to do was say his name 3 times, and he would appear and attack you. There was a major difference from Bloody Mary, though. Instead of saying his name in the mirror at night, you would say his name toward the toilet bowl, and the water would start to twirl as if it were being flushed. Then he would appear. Now, I don't really believe much in the paranormal, and I never really believed in ghosts and stuff at that age. Although it still creeped me out a huge deal because, quote, you never know, right? I
Yeah.
used I used to visit my cousins every school holiday at their house, and at their house was pretty far. It was about 5 hour drive in a car and about 8 hours on in a bus. Because of me and being a minor, I was always accompanied by my grandmother. They lived in a complex type setup with a whole bunch of houses and flats all around each other. I had been at my cousin's place for a few days, and her friends came over to play. You know, the usual kids stuff. So we start telling each other ghost stories and trying to spook one another, which reminds me of our times that we've
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Her her one friend, let's call her A, tells us the story about Pinky and how he has attacked people in the toilet. Of course, we didn't believe her. She was obviously just trying to scare the crap out of us. By then, it was around dinner time, so everyone dispersed to their respective houses to meet again the next day. A few days passed, and my cousin and I were just relaxing by the pool area, and we get this crazy idea to try out the game. We both are skeptical about it, so no big deal, right? There was no way it was going to work. So we go into the bathroom together and we both say the words, Pinky, Pinky, Pinky. We wait, no response. Well, that was an epic fail and also a huge relief because who wants to see a scary monster anyway? After the incident, we really didn't pay much attention to it. However, the paranoid person I am always kept my toilet usage to a minimum while I was at her house, just in case. They moved shortly after that, and we forgot about Pinky Pinky and moved on with our lives. Fast forward to 15 years later, and here we are in the current day. Over the past few days, I have been hearing these really creepy stories about people disappearing while they were using public bathrooms. At first, what the reason behind it could be, so I paid a little attention to it. So I paid little attention to it. But then the news stories started to become curious. I decided to look into it. I went to the local library and did some research on the disappearances. They were all really vague. Quote, so and so went missing on XX date in blank public bathroom. They were alone at the time, and the last person to see them were waiting outside the bathroom for them. But there was one detail I noticed which was constant in every incident. The person was always alone. So that got me to thinking back to Pinky Pinky, and I wondered if somehow there was a connection to these occurrences. It wasn't until I found myself needing to use a public bathroom that I got my answer. It was all connected to one person or thing and that thing was Pinky Pinky. There I was doing some last minute shopping for the weekend and I found myself suddenly have the urge to pee. So I went to the nearest bathroom and stepped inside to do my business. As I'm washing my hands out of nowhere, there's a little girl staring right at me. I smile at her and finish washing my hands. This is not uncommon as kids often stare at people who are unfamiliar to them. We have all done it at some point, so nothing super weird except for the fact that she appeared to be alone and there was nobody else in the stalls next to mine. She's a cute kid, kind of about 6 or 7, she says, in age, and she is wearing a pink dress with a little fish on it. She had curly brown hair and had the most striking emerald green eyes you have ever seen. There were nothing there were nothing like I had ever seen before. There was something strange about them. They seemed to be moving, almost like her pupils were rotating clockwise in her eyes. It was almost hypnotizing. This is obviously my mind playing tricks on me because that's impossible, I told myself. She said, "Do you remember me, Janie?" I was confused. How can someone remember how can I remember someone who I had not yet met? And that too, a little girl of that age. None of my friends had kids that age, and those who even had kids were always visiting, so I would definitely recognize them. Do you know of Pinky? My heart froze. My heart started beating fast, and I kept thinking, just stay calm. She cannot possibly be talking about the same Pinky from all those years ago. I quickly dried up my hands and headed straight for the door, but she was too quick. She got there before me, and I stood in front of it. I tried to move around her, but she was too close. It was then I decided to play dumb and let her no, not let on that I was scared. Where are your parents, little girl? Are you lost? She smiled at me. This time it was different. I couldn't look away. Something came over me. She spoke again in a much deeper voice. I
Mm.
know what you did. Yeah,
Creepy.
Jamie. Yeah, no. I know what you did, Jamie. It wasn't a fail. Your game did work. What are you talking about? I didn't play any games. Don't pretend you have no idea who I am. I honestly have no clue of what you're talking about, little girl. I need to get back to to buying my gifts. Janie, don't you remember what you said, what you and Sally did back in 2003 in the bathroom of Sally's house? Ugh, cold chills. This can't be real. How would anyone know of that night? We both had not told anyone because we felt so silly that it didn't work. And besides, that was years ago. She then replies to the little girl, that was years ago. Nothing happened. The game wasn't real. Oh, but it was, my dear.
Mm.
She she then says, my dear. The way she said it was so chilling and sent a wave of blood through my face. I had to get out of here. I tried once more to get around this creepy little girl. I knew I had to get away without looking at her. That's how she traps people. But I found myself doing exactly the opposite. I looked at her, and there was that cute little child I saw a minute ago, those same rotating eyes, and I couldn't take my eyes away. I woke up in a room full of people, and I did not know. I blinked a couple of times for my eyes to adjust. It was so dimly lit that there was a small window in the corner furthest from me. The walls were plain concrete and no signs of paint ever being on it. The floor was cold and slimy, as it felt if someone substance all over it. There was no furniture except a small chair in front of the room. The only door in the room was a large metal one with huge locks and spikes on it. All the people were sitting in the floor and were mostly in their 30s. They were all well dressed in business suits, business professional dresses, pantsuits, etc. I looked around the room and I recognized a few of the faces as the ones in the news articles. I tried to speak. I tried to speak to a girl closest to me, but no words came out of my mouth. Still nothing. Everyone looked hypnotized. I stared, all staring blankly at different parts of the room. There, excuse me, I lost my space. They were all in a strange trance-like state. That's when I heard the door open. It was very slow and drawn out. The rattling of the chairs is what drew my attention to it. Then it was open. There stood the girl from the bathroom. Not only now, she was taller and bigger than everyone else.
Oh,
She
God.
walked up Yeah, she walked up to this big burly guy with hair on the back of his neck. He wore a blue button-up shirt with an orange and red striped tie. He was sweating profusely and clearly shaken up. She picked him up in one swift motion, and it seemed effortless. How could a girl pick up this huge guy? He must have weighed at least 3 times what she did. She threw him on the chair. He looked up at her and begged, sobbed, please let me go. It was a mistake. I never meant to play the game. I just wanted to seem cool in front of my friends. She, they were only, he still says, they were the only one people who would speak to me. She says to him, you think I care about that? I've waited 15 years for this, and I'm not letting some sad story get in the way of anything. It's my time now. Her eyes were still spinning in circles, only this time they seemed to be glowing. The guy kept sobbing, and I actually felt scared for him. He knew that he was coming. He knew what was coming, but everyone else still all sat silently staring in front of them. And I do not know why I'm not in this trance like state, but maybe it was a blessing not being like that. Looks like you have to pay for that mistake. And oh boy, I am thrilled to see that. Then it happened. Apparently, a big noise came off, and she was like, "What is that noise?" I stretched my neck out slowly, trying to get a better look without making a sound, and I have to avoid being caught. That's when I saw it. Her mouth, her teeth weren't there anymore. In its place were a vast hole of blackness, a void. She held onto the burly dude and opened her mouth. She opened it as wide as she could, and it grew bigger and bigger like a king cobra ready to swallow his next victim. It was completely black inside, and I could see gills inside. There was a sliminess to it as well, and there was no tongue either, just a black void of space. And with the slightest twinkle in her eye, she put his head in her mouth, and immediately she swallowed the guy like he was a spoon of custard. It had been it had been a few hours now since she left, and there is still nobody who I can talk to. But there is a signal down here. You guys have to help me get out of here. I don't know when it's going to be my turn, but I have a feeling I don't have much time left.
And that's it.
Yeah,
That's
that was all.
crazy.
Yeah.
I did not
So,
expect that to be. That wasn't what I expected as a story. That's
but
interesting.
like when you were telling me the history, I was like, "Oh my God, is this the same? Is this the same kind of story that I'm about to read?" Because it it doesn't tell me anything about the Pinky Pinky. It just tells me about fucking Bloody
Yeah,
Mary in a fucking yeah,
toilet bowl. Well, it
yeah,
sounds similar. Um, I'm guessing it just got added on to, so that's what
yeah.
happened. But yeah, okay.
So, I had one more story, and so okay, let me let me get everything together because okay. So, oh no, hold on. Square. Let's just delete that part of this thing. Hold on.
I was about to say, yeah, just take it out.
My freaking page isn't. Hold on. I didn't. I couldn't really like I was saying with other the first story. I didn't really find a lot of stories on Reddit. I had to like go in deep and like ask Google. Like I had to put in Pinky Pinky uh, Reddit or Pinky Pinky stories because the things saw on Reddit were pretty much about the what you were talking about South African legends, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, so the next one, I really didn't. Okay, so this I pulled off of the World of Urban Legends. I don't know if you've seen that either, but
Mm-mm.
this is pretty much talking about how their urban legends or myths that litter out our lives with fear. So, Bloody Mary, the phone call to the babysitter, all that stuff. So, this is pretty much saying it's a tale of a spirit, like you were saying, that lives in the girls' bathrooms at school, and it pretty much is saying, if you wear pink, you upset the monster. And
Well, I
he,
said all this already.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it literally just tells
Oh
me
shit, you
everything
gotta
you
cut that
said.
out. I called you by your real name.
Oh, shit. Okay. Hold on.
Oh my god.
That was the first time in forever.
I know. You
No,
had
but
to
no,
cut
that's
that.
what I'm saying. Like, the the ones that I've read, it's just literally telling me what you've said, except for like disturbing the silences around. Okay. So a part of it is, hold on. Yeah. Like yeah, like all of the forums that I've read literally just tells me about this pink person,
Yeah.
and it and that is like there's no person telling their story about it
No, we'll just cut
except
that out.
her.
We'll just say you had only one story then.
Okay, okay,
That's fine. Because
okay.
I didn't find much either. But okay, so end of your story, and now I'm gonna cut into what I was gonna say. Okay.
Mhm.
So where do you think the myth came from, or why do you think it started?
I mean, just like all urban legends, I feel like just like the Bloody Mary thing, I feel it was like a scary story that a scary story. Sorry, a story that pretty much tells a tale of a boogeyman and that it's going to come get you.
Yeah. So it seems that it came from issues in South Africa, such as the dangers of girls using the bathroom, which include gender based violence and rape. It's also said the bathrooms lack privacy, so no doors on the stalls. So the monster could have been created after attacks on young girls or women were created, or excuse me, committed. The fear is very much real and the attacks as well, but not the actual monster, is what I'm thinking.
Mm,
Maybe it's used to keep girls aware of their surroundings and the potential dangers that they face. So it's all just stemmed from attacks, lack of privacy, stuff like that. It just created a monster for people to be scared of. But I think
like,
it. Go
wow.
ahead.
I was gonna say, like my mom, she pretty much we have a pond behind our house, and she pretty much told me that Jason lived there, and if I were to go down there, he would get me. So kind of like that
Why did she tell you that?
to prevent me from falling in the pond and drowning.
Yeah, I guess it's very similar then. It's just to
Yeah.
keep people safe. It's a weird way of doing it, but it definitely works.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for me. I didn't go down there until I was a teenager, until I realized that Jason wasn't real,
That's
that he
hilarious.
was only a character in Hollywood. I legit thought like she made it seem so real. Like she made it to where her and my aunt went down there to turtle hunt, turtle fish, whatever you do with snapping turtles. But she went down there and she was like, she pulls up his mask and brings it from the fucking pond and is just walking up with a mask hanging from her hand. And I was like, like this was like when I was like 5 or 6, and I was terrified.
Where'd she get that man?
Terrified. I don't know. I think my aunt had brought it and had put it in her cooler or something, and she pretty much just did it because it made it look like it was in the water, so she made it muddy and stuff. And she told me, she's like, "Oh, look, he left his mask," and she was like, "You don't want to see his face," and I was like, "What?" And yeah, so she made it really believable.
That is creepy. Yeah, my mom used to. This was kind of different for sure. It's kind of mean. But my mom used to, we go to the stores and stuff where all the Halloween stuff were at. And I'd be on one of the aisles looking at the Halloween stuff, and she'd like disappear and then show up at the end of the aisle wearing a scary mask to scare me.
She would do that.
Yeah, she did that a lot. And then oh my gosh, so my brother wouldn't climb up the stairs to the attic when she was up there when the stairs were down. She would go up there and she had this like Viking looking mask and she would put it on and peek over it. And my brother was like 2 or 3. No, he's a little bit older. He's a little bit older, I think, like maybe 4 or 5. It was so funny, but it kept him from climbing up the steps. And
I
she
mean,
because
yeah,
he
I
was
guess.
afraid he was gonna fall. But it
Yeah,
kept
I
him
mean,
from doing that. It was so funny because he would wig out about it.
I guess if you like dressed up, like put a pink face on and stuff, and just like popped up over stalls and with girls, with random girls,
That's
children,
what
they'd be
they
like, "What?"
do. It was creepy. But yeah, that's all I had for today. That's all
Well,
we
that,
have for today.
yeah. I mean, it was interesting because I've never heard it before, and I was like, when you said pinky pinky, I was like the finger, and that's when you were like, yeah, like the finger, like pinky pinky. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be about like somebody cutting a pinky off or something, and but yeah, when I started reading, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then I saw that one story on Reddit, which was the longest story, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this one because it's freaky and it's
Yeah.
creepy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, that's
Well,
awesome.
definitely interesting. I liked that it was something I've never, well, neither one of us have heard and from a different country, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
But leading into social media, we are Moonlit Scary Stories on Instagram, Moonlit Scary at Twitter, and you can email us at moonlitscarystories@gmail.com. We're also uploading on YouTube, and there we will have citations and subtitles for you to follow along. And that's it.
Perfect. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.